Oh, dear. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Three Coaches, One Topic. Sorry, I just dropped a bombshell to Garineh, and then went, now we're going live. So I can't respond. So today our guests are Garineh and Kelly. And as always, I will pass it over to them to tell you a little bit about themselves as coaches, their business, where they're from, and who they are. So let's start with you, Garineh.
Hello, everyone. If you are in Dubai, I'm sure you're enjoying the rain. We don't get that so often. So my name is Garineh, and I'm the founder of Gratifying Wellness. So I'm a health and wellness coach, board certified, functional medicine, integrative nutrition, positive intelligence. So a few things I added so that I can better help my clients achieve their goals. But this is, of course, not my background. I started in IT and then telecoms and worked in the corporate world for over 15 years until it was time to shift and detour to the health and wellness realm. So I'm so excited to be with you here today and share more about my journey.
Thank you. And we are going to hear more about that because of today's topic, which, is going to be interesting because I think it's a kind of topic that we can, go on several paths, but we will see where it leads us. And Kelly, welcome for the first time.
Yeah, exciting to be here. Hi everyone. I'm Kelly Turner. I'm based in Wales in the United Kingdom. I met Donna from my first coach training journey about two or more years ago now. And so I'm a founder of Authentically Rise. So I do one-to-one coaching with people just to rebuild self-trust, confidence, self-esteem, to help them make better decisions that are right for them and to move forward. I'm also a student in humanistic psychotherapy, doing my master's currently. And I used to work for the NHS, did loads of different roles within the NHS. And I was a stay-at-home mum before coming into the coaching and now stepping more into the therapeutic scene, shall I say. So yeah, I've had a lot of changes. So I'm sure we'll cover some of this in our session together.
Excellent. Yeah. And as you said, we've known each other for a good couple of years now. And, what I've always loved about you is that you've always made me feel accepted. I think that's the word for you. Accepted. With all my quirks and my little Duracell bunny sort of excitement. And then my little firecrackers of emotion. We've coached each other and, we kind of done Garineh like coaches supporting coaches. There was Kelly, myself, Kevin, Maxine and Liz. We had formed this little group when we were doing our coach training. And we pretty much did, growth sessions, discuss and grow. And we did online courses together, sat watching it over Zoom. So, Kelly, you're a very, very special person in my heart. So thank you for coming today. So I'm Donna Burfield, and I'm a certified and licensed coach, and I'm the founder of Joy and Purpose Coaching, which is primarily parenting, which I love and so passionate about. Out of anything I've done in my life, parenting is the one thing that I am extremely proud of, and I'm pretty good at. I'm not too bad. I've made mistakes along the way, but that all comes down to communication with my children, and we have a really, really good relationship. So I was in education for 26 years and went from Montessori right up to secondary learning support. And then I became a life coach, and I was quite passionate about that because of single parenting. When I got divorced, there was a lot of things that kind of like got thrown up in the air, and who am I, and freedom at last, and oh my God, what's going to happen? So many things. And then I started Coaches Supporting Coaches here in Dubai, which I am loving, and I meet so many inspiring coaches who want to do better and serve better. So that's me. Just so today we're going to be talking about switching careers and feeding your passion. And I think this is really, really important from the grounding of, you know, when you leave school, when you leave college or university, depending where you are on your, you know, academic journey, there's always this urgency to kind of find out what you want in life, out of life. And with that urgency, it feels like, you know what, if I go down this path, I'm stuck on this path for life. And all three of us have our paths. I mean, it's like the underground map in London. So tell us a little bit about your background with regards to, you know, where you started from and, you know, the stepping stones, where they have each led you to today. I don't mind who goes first.
Kelly, start.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If I was going to go quite far back, I remember when I was in secondary school, for example, I was really clear. I loved the body. I wanted to be a physio. I always worked really hard at PE and all the theory because I just loved it. It just kind of spoke to me. And that's what I wanted to do. And I remember my mum taking me to like this open day in college. And it was probably at the time, I couldn't see it like that at the time. It was probably a lecturer having a bad day. And he told my mother she could be an A-star student, but it doesn't mean she's going to get into physiotherapy, university. And just from that one comment, it just completely changed my decision. Just completely, was always listening outside myself. I was never listening in here. And I was always guided what other people thought I should do, rather than stand go, no, this is what I know I want to do. I didn't have that kind of grounding as a teenager. And I think my mum was quite similar, to bless her heart. You know, at the time, she just wanted me to make the best decisions. They're the experts. They must be right, you know. So then I took a different kind of path. I went back to college, sorry. I did a course, hated it. I was like, nah, I'm not doing it. Quit. Went to do an apprenticeship. Didn't want to do that either. And then I ended up going to do my nurse training. And that was very much, looking back, I don't think it was my calling. You know, it wasn't what I wanted to do. It was what other people thought was right for me. Job safety, job for life, you know, all this kind of narratives, you know. So anyway, I went to do that. I moved around a lot. I was always looking back, always about growth. I had to grow, had to kind of climb the career ladder. And very much what you said, I felt stuck. Then I was like, oh, I want to do other things. And I remember making all these different choices, climbing the career ladder, doing well, but inside I didn't feel well. You know, I just felt kind of like on the outside, like, oh, Kelly's nailing it, Kelly's doing well. But on the inside, I felt depleted. I felt anxious. I wasn't enjoying my weekends. I felt burnt out, and that's stuff I did because I wasn't listening to what my internal being was telling me. It took me to a point of feeling so burnt out and run down that then that kind of was a catalyst for me. I have to create change. And to be fair, my support from my partner, who was my partner but now my husband. And from there, I left my career after working so hard. And something we touched on before the live was, you know, that transpired being a mum, but then realizing I had put all my worth into my career, into my identity. I didn't know who I was, because now if I'm not that, who am I? I know I'm a mum, I know I'm a partner, but who's Kelly? So what it's kind of taught me is I had to get to know myself before I knew what was important and what was meaningful for me, to then be at home, my children, which I enjoyed, but I still had this pressure about who am I? What am I doing? Am I good enough just being a mum? You know, I was really living to these narratives that were coming from outside. They weren't my narratives, but I was almost trying to live to these outside narratives. But through self-awareness and inner work, it kind of shredded a lot of that I want to say a total rubbish, total rubbish. It kind of shredded it. And it's allowed me to come, this is where I am at now. I went into coaching because that's what helped me. And, integrity is important. If that helped me, then maybe I can help other people through it, and then through my just curiosity and just really loving to understanding humans, that's what's led me into my latest decision is to dive into a master's to really work with more kind of, people who are more distressed, more mental health, helping them and just understand humans at a deeper level. So that felt right for me. But I'm doing it more for my values. I'm doing it more for meaning. And I'm doing more something that it just something makes me feel alive rather than doing it because I think I should do it. So I'll stop there because I can talk on and on and on. So I'll stop there, but that's where I am today.
Oh, you've said so many buzzwords for me. And Garineh, I've talked about this on and on and on and on and on. And you all know the buzzwords that Kelly, you are saying right now. So no, thank you so much for sharing that. And, we're never just anything. And I think it doesn't matter, what you are, whether you feel that you're just an accountant or you're just a mother or you're just, no, you're not. But we can get onto that in a minute.
Yeah.
But Garineh, tell me about your journey.
All right. Well, in high school, I was really interested in physics and psychology. But then everyone around me said, oh, what are you going to work? What kind of a job you will find? There's nothing for you here in Jordan, saying. So my father took me to meet few universities and understand, what's happening, what's the latest trends and so on. And IT was booming. So I was convinced, not deep inside, but from outside influence, that IT would be a great field to go into and the job would be guaranteed. And so that's how I got into computer information systems. I hated most of the topics. I'm not into coding and the programming I had to do for my projects, but it's not something I enjoyed. I enjoyed the critical thinking, design thinking, that's what they call now, and doing the analysis work and things related to the user interface and how would a person interact with the computer and through the system and the portal. So that part I enjoyed. I got into my first job for a few months. Yeah, that was an experience, real life and people, taking advantage of you being the new graduate and not paying me and, all of that. And then I got a great job in a leading bank. So, and it was exciting because it was a new project. They were changing all the infrastructure and all the ATM machines and starting, employee portal and online banking and the phone banking and so many new things happening. And I'm like, okay, great. And I like the challenge, especially that, women are minority in this field. So in the department, I was surrounded by, male colleagues. And when we're doing the shift work, they were like, oh, no, you're a girl, you cannot stay late, and these kind of discussions.
Why?
Memories of that time, Anyway, I went through that. And then when I met my husband, and he was already in UAE. So it was, like I needed to move to Dubai. And in the bank, I moved from the IT department to the marketing department, but still in charge of all the e-channels. It was exciting. So I came here. I found a job also in the similar field, but as sales support. And I did really well. And the bonus checks were like huge amounts. And every time I get a check, my husband said, do you understand the value? Convert it to Jordanian dinars to understand the value of the checks you're getting now. And I won a trip to Costa Rica because I did so well in sales. But I hated sales. I hated financial targets. It wasn't me. I did my job well because I wanted to support the clients, but I didn't do it for the money. So when a colleague moved to BT, he said there's an opening and in a different department, also telecom focused and doing analysis work and admin support. I'm like, okay, yes. And that's how I joined BT. And I worked with the same team and the managers for a long time because my boss opened his own consultancy firm. So I moved with him and, I loved the vibe and the team that I was working with, and I didn't mind the work pressure. But if you get into that business, there is kind of a career progression where you would get into a senior consultant role at the end of it. But I was dreaming of becoming a mom, and I had fertility issues, and I was doing all these treatments and the injections and, lots of procedures and tests. So I couldn't push through the work, that career progression. And even though I knew like having babies is so important for me, I was feeling less because I'm not progressing in that career path like everyone else, so feeling a bit little, let's say. But then I had my twins and I'm like, okay, priorities shifting and I love it. But I wasn't used to staying at home. I never stayed at home. I was always working from teenager to nonstop till I had the twins. So after 6 months, I went back to work. It was good, kind of a mental break because having twins, it's nonstop demand day and night. And then I'm a very hands-on mom. So it was nice to leave for office for a few hours and come back. But yeah, like passion, I'm not that excited for the work I was doing. Then I changed career. Again, I was doing so well, and everybody's really impressed and everybody's happy, and I'm not really happy. After having my third daughter, this became even like stronger feeling that I kind of started to resent the job. It's not what I'm meant to do. But I had no clue what I'm meant to do, who I am if I'm not doing this work. What are my options?
Yeah.
So I saw a Facebook ad about a vision boarding workshop. So I went there. I had no expectations. I'm just, let me explore. I'm so bored. I hate what I'm doing. Let me see. And that's where it started, because during all this time, of course, my daughter had health challenges. I had health challenges. I was taking lots of courses. I was really interested in this, in improving our health and well-being. So it's been years of studying, but I was doing it just for me and my family. Yeah. So after that vision boarding workshop, I realized, okay, like this is my passion. This will be my purpose. I can help others feel better. So what do I need to make this happen? I needed, official diploma, certification, get the business license, all of that. So I did all of this, and then it was time to say bye-bye to the corporate world.
And this is where you are today. And everything is a stepping stone. I mean, sometimes we always feel that this is our destination when it's not. It's just a touch and go, and we need that touch and go to get to where we're going. So
yes, I had to dip low and struggle with my health, work pressure, nonstop working, not eating well because I'm always in a rush. I would prepare amazing food for my kids because I knew it's important for their health, but I barely had time to eat, So all of this accumulated. So I started to make changes, and it made difference. And I realized, okay, no, this matters. What's the point of working all the time and then not being healthy to actually enjoy the time off?
Yeah. But you make a good point that, as mothers, that's one of the things we tend to do. We will make sure our children are getting enough sleep, enough exercise, enough fresh air, enough, balanced diet. And then at the same time, we're shot to pieces, But, and I feel strongly about this, even though it didn't work in my marriage, but that family unit is about each other having that piece of the jigsaw and taking up the stack. So having that conversation with your partner before you have children and say, you know, as their primary giver and as the mother, I am going to concentrate on them and I may forget about myself. This is where I will need that support from you. And in return, when you're getting support from that person, that will stop you pausing and say, well, how am I investing in my relationship with my partner? So, you know, there's so many conversations that you need to have before you progress to having a family, and how it looks like, and, you know, what is your idea of a husband, of a mother? Because if you come, to put it bluntly, from a crap family, you're really starting from scratch of what ideally it could look like for you. You know what you don't want it to look like. So, as I said, I digress. I knew today we were going to digress. But thank you for sharing that, Garineh. And, you know, I'm so glad you are actually, you know, in this space, because you are helping a lot of people. And it's a ripple effect.
Yes.
You know, and I'm, you know, I know this. So I basically started off. So I grew up in the army, and it was really difficult with regards to every 2-3 years we moved house, or we moved country, or we moved within a country. And I am quite an introvert. I'm okay with this because there's a purpose behind it. But after, like, we end the live, I am exhausted. I need to sit in the corner. Yeah, so that was really, really hard, having to start school, walking into every single classroom, all the kids turning around because the teacher's standing there saying, we've got a new pupil today. And it was horrendous. And I was, you know, I am a twin, and my twin brother looks absolutely nothing like me. And so again, that gave us that point of reference of standing out in front of people. Academically, I didn't do very well. I was the quick-witted, sporty, competitive one. Academically, I didn't do very well. And it was only later, through me becoming secondary learning support assistant, that I realized that, you know, there are things that are screaming out obvious. But back in my days, we used to have the, you know, intelligent popular tables and the thick table, and I would be on the thick/comedy table because I would always make fun wherever we were. So expectations for me growing up weren't really that high, and I knew I always wanted to work with children because of my family situation, and I thought, I never want another child who I have contact with ever to feel unloved, unworthy. So I knew from a very early age, but how, I didn't know. And I always wanted to travel. But I think in hindsight, looking back, I was running away from somewhere, trying to find something. And I found it, sort of. And so I then ended up becoming an au pair, and that experience was quite bad. I was 17, I was treated quite badly. I ended up being hospitalized for malnutrition and treated as a servant. And then I ended up becoming a nanny for 7 years, and each year different families. Again, I did not like the way I was being treated, constantly being told I wasn't good enough. You haven't been to university, whilst they're in the back snorting cocaine. And I'm just like, really? Yeah, so my self-worth was really, really low. And through those experiences, materialistic things became, material things I don't care about. I really, really don't care what my car looks like, you know, what brand it is, and so forth. You know, I remember one of my bosses turning around to me and commenting on the clothes I was wearing, and it was for a Swiss family, and they were extremely rich, private jet, gorgeous house, all this lot, and we would have to go for Sunday lunch or what have you. Of course, I'm on like £100 a month. And you're complaining at the quality of my clothes. I mean, of course I can't afford that. So, yeah, I had a lot of mental challenges. I mean, but that never deterred me. So I ended up doing going to night school, because I was just like, I've got to stop nannying. I've got to get away. I'm nobody's servant. And I ended up becoming a Montessori teacher, came to Ras Al Khaimah. At first, I applied for jobs in Africa or Vietnam, and there was nothing available. And they said, there's one in Dubai. And at that point, I went, no, I don't want Dubai. And they went, there's one in Ras Al Khaimah. I went, never heard of it. I'll take it. And Kelly, that's one of the Emirates of the UAE.
Okay. All right.
So I was like, awesome, never heard of Ras Al Khaimah. This is 27 years ago. I'll take it. That's where I'm going. And from there, being a Montessori teacher is very aligned with coaching. It's about respecting people's environment, yourself, giving people space. And I just adored teaching. And I did that for the next 27 years. And then becoming a coach. But the interesting thing is, this is where we are all now. And you can, reflecting back, you can see how certain jobs, certain experiences have led you, you know, if I hadn't have had all that negativity, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone, because seriously, I was in very, very dark places a lot of times when you're living in another person's house and your boss is telling you you are worthless and I own you and you are a servant. It's a good job he hasn't met me today, because but I wouldn't be the person I am today. So there are certain things looking back and being grateful for. So where you are now, is there a sense of contentment? Are you happy? Are you taking that time to pause and reflect?
Yeah, I can go if you want. Yeah, I am really happy. And I think what it's really, really taught me is, like, happiness doesn't just come from your career. You know, it's like you fit into this whole puzzle piece of life parts. You know, that, you know, your family, your friends, your hobbies, you know, what you do for work, everything is like a kind of representation of what you bring into those different parts. And the reflection piece for me is allowing me to kind of grow in each of those, and really being grateful for what I already have, and not allowing myself to kind of validate I have to be something else, and just going, you know what, I can move through life from an abundance lens, not from a kind of scarcity lens. And I think before I had much more of a scarcity lens on. I always had to chase something. I had to chase the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. Now I feel I'm more coming from an abundance kind of place. I feel much in flow, and I'm more trusting. I almost like don't even know where the end destination is. I'm just almost like trusting myself that when something feels right, this is where I need to go now. This is where I need to go. You know, the value is the same, what I want, what impact I want to have. But sometimes I don't know the direction. And when I take that next kind of step, then I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that there was another possibility, but I had to take that step before I could even see the next one. And that's what is kind of taught, really allowing yourself to enjoy the unfolding, trust the unfolding, and come back home to yourself and just listen And if you do need extra advice, that will come first from you knowing that that's what you need. But from doing that, I'm not just growing in where I'm taking like my career, but I'm growing as a person. I'm growing as a mum. I'm growing as a partner. It's me that is kind of filling all these different spaces, and I think that's the joy. It doesn't come from this like whip and force. You got to prove yourself. It's being much more compassionate with myself through it all. It's not all unicorns and rainbows, you know. It's hard moments. They are the things that are really tricky, and different life events happen that are a challenge. But when you learn to kind of be much more compassionate with yourself and acknowledge your values and your strengths, it allows you to kind of ride those bigger waves, and then you can breathe more on the smaller waves. But you just ride them the same. You're accepting it all, and that's how it's been for me anyway.
What's picking up for me, sorry Garineh, if you were going to say something, is all this needs to be taught, and these conversations need to be had openly with your children from day one. It's okay to say no. It's not okay for a teacher. It doesn't matter if they're older than you and come across the doctor, the priest, whoever. If something doesn't feel right, you have a right to turn around and question it. How you question it is a different matter. That's a conversation. But you have that right to stand up and say, this isn't comfortable. Everybody deserves a safe space. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very important point, and I don't think I had that opportunity in my childhood. You just do what you're told, respect the elder, respect the people of authority, no matter who they are, and that was it. And many times when people even would ask me, so what do you want? What do you like? I had no answer. I never thought I had a choice to choose or think of my wants and my likes. It's weird. I hope my daughters will not experience that at all, because we do have lots of conversations, and their self-worth is big just because who they are.
Yeah,
that's it. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. So this is important. But it was a long journey for me. And when you ask me about contentment, yes, at this point of my life, I am absolutely happy. I am in the right place. I know my values. I know my priorities really well. And I am now able to set the healthy boundaries to protect myself and maintain that integrity of what is valuable and important for me. It took a lot of work. Honestly, working with counselors, going through the health coaching program, where we had to implement what we're learning on ourselves before we start helping others. So lots of unraveling, unpacking, all the things that affected us, all the negative thoughts, and then surrounding myself with positive people that I choose to be with is a big part of who I am now in terms of a happy, joyful person. And this is important. Like, not everyone will have the community they need, just from the classmates or the family or whatever. So you choose who you want your friends to be. You choose your circle of influence. Who would be part of your life to help you grow. As Kelly was mentioning, she's growing as a person, as a partner, as a mom. So she's growing in all of these, and growth should never stop. But it's joyful. Like, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You're not growing or doing something because you want external validation. You're just doing it for you, and it feels right for you. So yes.
But can I just pick up, Garineh, with the growth, and that's what's so important, is sometimes growth is that way instead of going forward. And I think a lot of people think about that trajectory of going up. So, oh no, I'm not growing. But you could have detoxed negative people in your life, and now you're getting more and more and more, you know, like-minded people, and you're learning more compassion and compromise and joy. So growth again is up to you. But if you've got somebody who says, well, you've not hit that target and you've not hit that target, whilst we might need that certain times of our life, we might not need that right now. And that's okay.
Yes, you go through different phases in life and different seasons. And honestly, understanding fully that being a mom now is #1 priority for me gives me that peace. Because before, I always had that little voices of, oh, just a mom, or oh, you're not doing enough, or you're not bringing enough money, or, you know, are you an equal partner? But how can I be an equal partner if I'm more invested in the children and caring for them? So, like, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I echo that, because I know last summer I just took the summer off because I had done so much growing that I needed space to kind of integrate and really allow myself to go, okay, I need to kind of just allow this to kind of just almost like land and just go, okay, what am I taking from this? How is this kind of like shaping my life forward? Because I think sometimes when you keep growing, that then you're not really sure then how do you bring this into my life? You know, you can almost like kind of like sink in it, you know, and you want to be able to kind of embrace it, embody it, and really kind of move forward with it, so it's enhancing you. But yeah, that's what I did last year too, because I knew that's what I needed.
But again, you know, you're going to hit sometimes in your life, and I hear this a lot from people that are trying to start their businesses, and there is going to be a lot of learning, and especially if that's not your bag, which it definitely, I'm a people person, so starting up my business with dyslexic tendencies and, oh my God, you know, anything to do with technology, forms always send me off into a spin because of the language they use. So there's constant learning. And I think it's about having that, you know, honest discussion with yourself as well, and say, you know what, this isn't going to be forever. Yes, it could be a year that you are going to have to do an immense amount of learning. You're going to have to learn things that you never, ever wanted to touch base on. However, what is it going to do for you, and your future you is going to thank you for knowing. So it's about putting some purpose and meaning behind it. And so, you know, after that year, that's it. I'm going to take a week off, 2 weeks off. I need to absorb and implement and so forth. But, you know, sometimes I think you do need a little bit of tough love with yourself. If your end goal is to start up your business and this is the way you want to look, you have to put the work in. And there are going to be compromises. But this is where that having your tribe around you,
yes,
to help support and go, you're doing well. We've got you. You know, just keep going. What do you think, Garineh?
Yes, well, starting your business or changing your career is not an easy decision. And if someone is doing that, like, I would think either they are super resenting what they are doing currently and they absolutely hate it, or they found their strong passion and that's exciting for them and they want to excel in that, or both. That would be ideal. So just and start a new passion. But it's not easy, because you would think that you will do the things that you love, your passion. For example, you're passionate about parenting and helping the parents in your coaching program, but you need to do a million other things as a business owner you never thought about. It's not exciting. It's not fun. Some days are really tough. And
yeah.
Yeah, it needs a lot of work. So you need to have a strong sense of purpose for sure. And you need to be surrounded by people who would also not push you, but like, you know, encourage you to keep growing and achieving your goals. Because if you decide, okay, this is too much, I'm gonna give up, and everyone around you says, yeah, it's not worth it, just, you know, go back to whatever previous job, or just, you know, don't do it anymore, then you could quit. But if you are surrounded with people who say, no, there is a possibility, you have the abilities, you have the skills, you are learning, you are growing. It's not about growing exponentially so fast. It's about taking steps towards your goal, and that's what matters. So surrounding yourself with this type of tribe will help you achieve your goal. So
and if you get excited, if it's aligned with your head, heart, and gut, and you're excited, and everybody else is telling you, going, you know, that is your choice whether you go with it. And you know, one of the things that I used to have with the kids, we are all going to have days where we want to quit, where we don't want to do it. You know, when you're going through your studies, what's the point? Why do I have to do Shakespeare? Why do I, you know, and I used to say to my children and my students, it's one of those, you got to suck it up, buttercup days. You know, that's it. Not every day, but there are some days where you don't want to do something doesn't make sense, but you've got to do it. So let's just suck it up and get on with it.
And I think sometimes it's more satisfying when you actually do the stuff you don't really want to do, you know, because it has taken more that kind of inner discipline to be able to kind of go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And back what you said, Donna, what I tend to find works for me, not even just my future self, like 10 years or 5 years from now. I think of my future self, even like at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, how would she feel now? You know, would she be chuffed? You know, how would she be feeling if I do this at the end of the day? And it keeps me accountable because I owe that to myself to feel like that. So I kind of use that sometimes as an anchor, but I completely agree. Surrounding yourself around like-minded people, because then you kind of get inspired from each other. You bounce off each other is really important too.
Yeah, and people that don't take shortcuts. If you're going to you surround yourself with people who take shortcuts. Integrity is going to be questionable, and then from there it could be lawful, and from there it could be, you know, who knows. But it's about setting yourself and being around people that have the right intentions. You know, there's nothing more empowering than being so happy that somebody else has accomplished something and you've got nothing to gain out of, you know, celebrating with them. It's great. It's so fulfilling. So for anybody that are thinking about switching careers, or, you know, actually they're happy where they are, but they want to leave themselves open, be curious for, you know, if anything comes their way, how can I, you know, what advice or tools would you give them?
Well, I would really advise everyone to work with a coach.
Coaches supported coaches.
Coaches, you know,
and Kelly. Sorry, Kelly.
The title, Kelly's title, Authenticity Coach. You know, find the authentic you, who you are without all the fluff and the external stuff. Really figure out what you value, what, you know, takes, you know, just what really brings you joy, and work through, like, if you had traumas, you know, strong negative emotions in your childhood or early adulthood or whatever, then do seek therapy and release these from you, because they will always hold you back. You know, you would take maybe a step or two forward, but then the trauma and the negative emotions will pull you back. So my first tip would be find a coach that you like, you resonate with, and do some inner work before embarking on this journey of finding what's your purpose.
Yeah, and it's having that safe conversation, isn't it, of where, you know what, I don't know what I want, but this interested me when I was a kid, and I would have loved to have done that. And when I saw this on TV, this gets me excited. Let's explore. I'm just going to pop up this. This is Jihan, bless her. She's saying, absolutely, I read this today. My work is too important to be left to how I feel today. And I think that's what you were talking about, Kelly. Thank you, Jihan, for sharing that. So, yeah. So what advice would you give, Kelly?
Yeah, firstly, I think if someone's feeling like that, something's brewing inside of them. You know, the seeds are being planted that actually there's something more, or, you know, there's some change that I'm wanting to do. And first of all, I would say enjoy that seed being planted. Yeah. And start really enjoying I exactly what's already been said. Either work with someone depending on where you're at, being really self-honest where you are. But if you're at the point you go, no, I'm just happy, I feel good in myself, but I just really want to kind of see what else is out there. First of all, I would ask myself, what is it that what is this, what's missing? You know, where is this kind of coming from? And maybe that is growth, maybe that is contribution. And start going, okay, what sort of things are there? Is there something already in my work that I can kind of do a sideline to, or try something new, or have a secondment or something if you're generally happy? Or what I did, I started exploring all different things that aligned with what was important to me, what I felt was missing. And I started doing different weekend legal workshops, which were like intros into different stuff. I met all different types of people. I learned different stuff that I could take back into my family life. And it was fun, you know, just seeing what was out there. You know, and all the stuff I tried wasn't kind of the mainstream stuff that we get told, why don't you be this? Why don't you be that? You know, instead of really kind of like just exploring and just like being that, you know, like it felt adventurous, just trying to see what was out there. Another thing I found also what's helpful is you can just kind of just pinpoint, maybe every day sit with yourself. And if you do meditation after meditation, and just kind of start focusing on if my day was, if I was walking into, if it was my career that I really, really wanted, what day would I be walking into? But do it more than once, and allow yourself to build on it and build on it and build on it, and do it even for a month, and just see what unfolds. Just see what comes out maybe of your unconscious that's waiting to be grabbed hold of, and start just keeping notes and just build that picture up, and that will give you more information to see what is missing from my life that I'm looking to kind of expand on or build from. So those are a few things I would say.
No, it's great. And you're hitting on like the Tony Robbins. Okay, so I gave him a bit of a grilling last week. But I do like Tony Robbins. But his 6 human needs. Now, if you do a Google search, 6 human needs, and it talks about love, connection, certainty, uncertainty, contribution, and variety. And I do this with my clients. It is extremely powerful. I have to say, and I've spent thousands on training, this is my one tool that always makes me look at my life and say, are my 6 human needs being met? Now, whilst in other people's eyes, they might say, well, you don't have a partner and your kids are in the UK, therefore I'm lacking. I look at what I have here right now with coaches, supporting coaches, with my clients, with my business, all the people I'm connecting with. And if I go through my 6 human needs, they are being met pretty much 100%. So that lack of not having a romantic partner, that not my kids aren't here. It's not that I don't miss them, and Garineh can vouch for that I do. I am still full. My cup is full. I'm so appreciative of what I've got. And when I look at my children, when my children come and when I connect with them and so forth, it's even, you know, overflowing. So I would definitely say have a look at Tony Robbins' 6 Human Needs. Just Google it, and it's Claire Medana's as well. So I think she's the one that designed it, and Tony's got. Let's not go there before I get myself into trouble. But also, I think one of the big things is to look at, and we mentioned this right at the beginning. It's not about just I am just a housewife. I am just whoever. We are providing, we are nurturing, we are, you know, teaching. We bring so much more to the table than what we give ourselves credit for. So I think we need to start watching the language that we use on how we describe and put things into a box. Yeah, that's my little... I think we just need to be really, really careful, because we can get caught up, you know, on that road of not being satisfied, when actually, when you take a step off that road and you look back and you go, it's pretty damn good the way it is, you know. Your path, your aspirations are not mine. I am happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I've just got another comment here. Oh gosh, my mouse has gone all over the place. 1 second. I don't know. I haven't read the comment. It's Wendy. Yeah, volunteer yourself to get a feel for the job role. I spent a summer in a hair salon. It wasn't me. We know Wendy.
Yeah, that's a good advice. Yes, I mean, you need to try, meet people, ask them what it's really like, try the job, experience it before you make your decision. But understand that it is not an easy thing to just switch. You know, it's really rewarding, but you need to be ready for it. So understand what you will give up to because you will gain more, but you need to realize you will give up some things.
Yeah, that's really good, Garineh. And yeah, and what comes from that is sometimes what you think you're gonna like, in reality, when you do it, is not what you think it's gonna be. So just giving yourself that permission to try things, even if it's like a workshop, a little experience of volunteering or wherever, then it gives you a really good taste. Does this kind of resonate with me? Do I really want to spend my time and energy? Because wherever we put time and energy, we're taking from another part of our life that's important too. So then you can kind of balance it off. But it's just one thing that came to me that I always find people sometimes struggle with, is even when they're making transitions of change, is sometimes it's really, sometimes people don't always see their strengths. You know, we can be so hard and critical, but to really allow yourself to pause and reflect and recognize, actually, what is it that I find easy in my job? Because they're very likely things that other people find hard. And then there are strengths that you can take with you. But also I remember right at the beginning, about 8 years ago, I had a little challenge. I had to reach out to 5 people. This is a coach I had at the time, 5 people, and ask them to see what strengths they see in me. And that was so fascinating, because I was like, wow, is that what they see in me? And because it was in my blind spot. And yet one other thing I would like to say is, whatever person you look at and you think, wow, they're amazing, that's likely aspects of yourself that are in your shadow that are ready to be claimed, because what you see in another person is just mirroring what's inside yourself. So allow yourself to go, okay, I see courage in that person, for example. I see inspiration, and go, where is that in me? Well, how would I use that in me? Because you wouldn't be able to see it if it wasn't inside of you.
Yeah, I've used this before. I remember when you were doing that, because we were, doing quite a few group chats at that point, and it's powerful stuff. And I love what you're saying. Also, one of the things is, if where you are in your job, again, depends on the pressure you're getting. external pressure. It could be, we need more money, you need to go for a job promotion, all the rest of it. If you are dissatisfied where you are, is it an engagement or is it an employment, situation? If you are being given lots of opportunities for growth and you've got people reaching out to you, talking to you, they're interested in your well-being, then it might not be, an employment issue. It might be your engagement because you're getting pressure from outside, you're not sleeping well. So when you are dissatisfied with your job, again, I think we're talking a lot today about pausing and going, okay, well, where am I? What's happening? What's the situation? What's going on around me? And where is all this coming from? What is this telling me for me to step forward? 1 second. We've got another comment. I bet it's Wendy. Yeah. Perception is projection.
Even for the good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, ladies, we are going to close in a second. And I would just love to pass on to you, Garineh, because you and Jihan got a workshop coming up this Friday in Dubai. So, Kelly, if you can hop over, you're more than welcome to join.
Yes,
I'd love to.
It would be lovely to meet you in person. Yes.
I know, Garineh, you would.
Yeah, I'm excited for the upcoming workshop with Jihan. It's about stress. So knowing your stress inside out to turn it upside down. Because everybody's, think about stress and it's so negative and it's bad for you. Okay, there is negative aspect, but maybe there is positive to it. How can you see that? How can you incorporate it in your life? It's fascinating that we've found amazing research on different things. I don't want to spoil it, but join the workshop if you're in Dubai and you will get a different understanding of stress and where you are in relation to that. So it's amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Garineh, you've done a couple of workshops under Coaches Supporting Coaches, and so has Jihan, and they've always been very informative, very interactive, and extremely pleasurable. So I am looking forward to, of course, I will be there. So it'll be this Friday at 9 o'clock in the morning. If you go to any of my Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, I will also put a link in here for you after we finished, so you can join. There is a payment link as well for you to, and you have to do it. There is a cut-off time. I'm quite strict. I've got the teacher ex-military brat. Got my whip out. Just like, has to be like this. I'm sorry. So, is there any parting words that anybody would like to share before we say goodbye?
So all I would say is, life is always changing. Life is always evolving. Yeah. And just always going back to those pauses, take those moments for yourself. And the more we self-connect, the more we can just listen to ourselves.
Beautiful, beautiful. Garineh, is there any parting wisdom?
Yes. We should all be living life and enjoying it. Okay, it's a beautiful journey. And if you are unhappy for whatever reason, take the pause, do the reflection, make the changes needed, enjoy life. Really, it's beautiful. And you're worth it. You're worth it.
Yes, you are worth it. And I will say, live life on your terms to a degree. Okay, because there's always, there's consequences. Now, if you're in that mindset of, I'm going to live it to my terms and sod everybody else, and, I'm entitled, this is what I deserve, then it's not going to work out well. If you live it on your terms with joy, abundance, integrity, and grit and resilience, then you're going to lead a pretty good life and meet some awesome people and be exposed to some wonderful experiences along the way. And just before we go, Jihan's left a message. Okay. That's very powerful, Kelly. I used to do that. That's in me. Oh, but for the negative experiences. But yes, doing it also
when we perceive something that triggers positive emotions. Exactly. Because
Yeah.
Wendy always says perception is projection, but you think of it for the negative things. And I liked it so much when Kelly mentioned, no, it's also about the positive things. When you see it, it means you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I would just like to thank you both so very much for being here. Kelly, it was your first time.
I know.
And
I love it.
Oh, good. I hope you can tell me the truth once we finish. No, I'm joking. We had a good chat beforehand. But no, thank you both. Garineh, I appreciate you. You know how much I just love having you in my life. And thank you for sharing and being so open. Because can be quite a tricky place to be in. But, also stay true to yourself and don't be pushed into living somebody else's life for them. Tell them to go out and get it themselves. So on that note, I will say goodbye and thank you very much for joining us. Take care.